Welcome to The Explainer. Today we're cutting right through all the noise surrounding one of the darkest, most tangled scandals of our time. We're going to break down the latest, pretty shocking revelations from the Jeffrey Epstein files and what they really tell us about the hidden networks of power that operate just beneath the surface.
So, let's start not with a person, but with a place. A really bizarre 7-story mansion right in the middle of New York City. I mean, the entrance alone was designed to be unsettling, right? It was covered with dozens of fake eyeballs, just staring out at the street.
And once you got inside, well, the decor got even more surreal and frankly sinister. You had a life-size sculpture of a bride just hanging from the ceiling, a taxidermy tiger in the office, and yeah, a first edition of the infamous novel Lolita sitting on the bookshelf.
This house was the central hub for a man who entertained some of the world's most powerful people. We're talking presidents, princes, billionaires. They all passed through these strange rooms. And all the while, allegedly, hidden cameras were recording their every move.
So the big question is, how on earth did a college dropout with a pretty murky past build this kind of empire of influence? Well, the story doesn't start with his own money, it starts with someone else's.
The whole thing really begins with his connection to billionaire Leslie Wexner, the titan behind Victoria's Secret. Back in the 80s, Wexner made Epstein his financial advisor, and it gets crazier. He eventually gave Epstein power of attorney over his entire fortune, and even transferred ownership of this Manhattan mansion to him for the grand price of $0.
But here's the thing. It seems like Epstein's real business wasn't just managing money. It was a carefully constructed machine designed specifically for gaining power and control over the global elite.
His method, when you break it down, was a pretty sinister 4-step process. First, get the backing of a billionaire. Simple enough. Second, use all those assets, the mansion, the private jet, the island, to build the perfect trap. Third, and this is crucial, record everything. And finally, step 4, use that secret material as leverage for influence and power.
And this isn't just speculation. This quote from one of his victims, Maria Farmer, it just reveals the chilling reality. She testified that Epstein's mansion had a media room with monitors playing live feeds from hidden cameras in bedrooms and bathrooms. It was essentially a factory built to produce blackmail material.
So, fast forward to early 2024. A court orders the release of a massive trove of documents, all related to Epstein's network. And while, a lot of the names were already out there, these files provided a ton of new context and confirmed connections that are, honestly, pretty shocking.
Take Elon Musk, for example. He goes on Twitter publicly suggesting that high-profile figures like Donald Trump were in the files and that their connections were the real reason the documents were being kept under wraps.
But the irony here is pretty incredible, because when the files were finally released, Musk's own communications turned up. This email right here shows him asking Epstein about visiting his notorious island and wanting to know, quote, when the wildest party would be.
And the files also implicate other incredibly powerful figures. We've got testimony that places Google co-founder Sergey Brin on Epstein's island. They revealed new details about Bill Gates' multiple meetings with Epstein, meetings that kept happening long after his 2008 conviction. And of course, they added another nail in the coffin for Britain's Prince Andrew, who ended up paying a multi-million-dollar settlement to his accuser, Virginia Giuffre.
But this scandal's reach didn't just stop in America or Europe, not even close. The latest documents reveal Epstein's web stretched all the way to the highest levels of Indian business and politics.
Get this. Documents show Indian industrialist Anil Ambani messaging Epstein back in March 2017, and he's explicitly asking for help to meet Trump's senior advisors, Jared Kushner and Steve Bannon, on behalf of what he called leadership. Now, this timeline of messages from 2019, it lays out a really fascinating sequence of events. So after a meeting with Ambani, Epstein immediately texts Steve Bannon about a, quote, really interesting Modi meeting. He even calls Ambani his guy, and then, later, sends this absolutely stunning message, Modi on board.
So let's just be clear about the crucial point here. While Prime Minister Modi himself had no direct contact, his name, along with Minister Hardeep Singh Puri, shows up again and again in Epstein's communications. Now, Puri confirmed the meetings, but said they were purely professional. Meanwhile, the Ministry of External Affairs dismissed Epstein's claims about Modi as nothing more than, and I'm quoting here, trashy ruminations.
So, even with all these incredible revelations, the full story is still hidden. We're talking millions of documents that are still sealed, and any real accountability seems pretty scarce.
What's absolutely staggering is just how much we still don't know. A massive volume of documents related to this case are still sealed, completely hidden from the public. You have to wonder, what other secrets are still buried in those files?
And on top of all that, there's a disturbing pattern of mysterious deaths that just surrounds this case. Of course, Epstein himself died in jail. Officially, it was ruled a suicide. Then you have Jean-Luc Brunel, an agent accused of supplying girls to Epstein. He also died in a Paris jail, another alleged suicide. This kind of pattern has only fueled more and more suspicion.
And all of this, it leads to the one unavoidable question that just hangs over this entire scandal. With so many powerful people at risk of being exposed, was Jeffrey Epstein really allowed to just take his own life, or was he silenced to protect the vast, powerful network he built?
Ultimately, it leaves us all with a final, chilling thought. Is this really the story of one depraved man? Or is it the story of the systems of power and influence that enabled him, that protected him, and that perhaps still protect others just like him today? That right there is the real question at the very heart of this entire scandal.